This week's best MMA bets on the road edition. We're talking UFC Vegas 96. I'm going to give you guys my lock of the week. Most confident picks. We'll talk my favorite underdogs, Degen Props of the night, and then finish it out with the parlays. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video too. Last week was depressing, okay? The lock of the week took a fat knockout loss in the first round, and I hated it because I was going to a 5-0 streak. Instead, now 4-1 over the last 5. But I guess it was bound to eventually happen. Kaikar France got a sick knockout over Steve Erceg. It is what it is. I'm going to bring fire this week. I'm going to come back better. And from the road, I feel even more successful. Now, I'll be back in studio for the Fight Companion, and I'll actually be home tomorrow for the late night live. So don't worry. Won't be on the road too much longer. But we're getting right into things. All right? We're talking the lock of the week straight out. Jumping right into it. This week's lock is none other than Caio Borralho. Yes, I'm going chalky-locky. I got to pull off a W. And the thing that made so much sense about this is, how does Cannonier win? He's going to need a flash knockout because he can't outpace and outmatch Borralho for 5 rounds. He can't beat him on the ground. The only way he gets it done is if he gets a scintillating knockout. But I don't think he's knocking out a primed Caio Borralho who's surging right now. Of course, Borralho's a bit of a favorite, currently sitting around minus 220 to minus 240. So yes, this is a chalky-locky, and I'm okay with that because I'd rather win with the chalky-locky than take an L without. I think that Caio Borralho's skill set is very impressive. He's got a light bounce to his striking style. He darts in and out of range well. He has gone 5 rounds in the past, and I know it was against lower-tier opposition, but he still had bounce in the 5th round in that fight. And I only imagine he's more fit and better now. You fade the Fighting Nerds team where Caio Borralho fights out of, you lose money every time. Borralho's got this in the bag. Now, Jared Cannonier, I think, has slowed down. He lost to Imavov last time in what was an early stoppage, but he was losing the fight. He seems to consistently start slower and slower each and every fight, and that's a massive concern. I think Borralho has a big chance of getting this fight to the ground and actually winning it by submission against the 40-year-old Jared Cannonier. Of course, looking for the prop of submission is on the degenerate side. But what is life without a little degeneracy, okay? The sub line for Caio Borralho right now is up at, I'm seeing plus 500, but as low as plus 300. I think there's a serious possibility that Borralho takes Cannonier's back and chokes him out. I think Borralho is going to mix in some grappling in this fight, but I also think he's going to have some fair success on the feet. I really don't see how a 40-year-old Jared Cannonier is beating him, aside from maybe a flukish punch, but that's enough for me to lock it. I think Borralho is surging to the top, momentum of not only him on his side, but his whole gym walking W's, and I think he's going to continue to win. I see Borralho as a quality fighter, and I do think he deserves to take at least a shot amongst the elite. I mean, if you match up Borralho with some of these top caliber guys, him and Imavov's a really interesting fight because he's got a big grappling advantage on Imavov. Him and Brendan Allen's a really intriguing fight because, in a sense, he's faster on the feet and slicker on the ground. So where does a guy like Brendan Allen beat him? And now he's taking on Jared Cannonier, which will catapult him up to the elite of the UFC middleweight division. Not that Cannonier is an elite, but I do believe he's slow to step. And he's a step behind the best of the best. But he's a former world title challenger. And shit, on your resume, a win over Jared Cannonier, even if he's 40, is massive. And it only leads to incredible feats forthcoming. I think Borralho's a savage. I'm repping the savage team. I'm going with Fighting Nerds for the win. I'm going lock of the week, Caio Borralho. I sat on this one for a while. These Wednesday locks been feeling a lot better for me. When I was rushing them out on Mondays, I feel like I didn't have that same fire. Now on a Wednesday, I've had a few nights to sleep on it, and Caio Borralho's a good call. He's been a confident pick, and he's even more of a confident pick now as I'm doubling down on him, and I'm going lock of the week, Caio Borralho taking it home for Brazil for Fighting Nerds. And I'm telling you guys, get excited because he's got big fights coming in 2025. This week's lock, Caio Borralho. A little chalky, but still the locky to get it done. Let's talk some most confident picks. I'll bring them up on the screen, and we'll go one by one as we talk about each of them. So first up is the Michael Morales pick. Yes, he's a confident pick. Yeah, the odds are shit. He's like minus 800 as a favorite, but he's going to beat this version of Neil Magny. Morales has relatively slick striking as well as a good wrestling base. I just don't believe Neil Magny poses enough of a striking threat nor submission threat to handle a Michael Morales. I feel like Magny is, riding real high after the upset against Mike Malott, where he finished very strong in that fight, but he was losing a majority of it. And Mike Malott is not Michael Morales. Michael Morales is significantly more athletic. I think he's more powerful. I think he's a better striker. He's just cleaner overall, and he has legitimate top 10 potential. And I feel like at 25 years of age, even though he is young in years, he's ready for this big spot. He's ready to break into the top 15 and start making waves. I've seen the, Michael Morales skill set from the start. Fought on Contender Series, got a win there. And, it was a competitive fight against an OV Savage and Nikolay Veretinikov, but still dominant for Michael Morales. And, Veretinikov looked relatively good against Danny Borralho in his debut. And that's who Morales fought some years ago on Contender Series. Like, Morales at 25 is only getting better with each and every fight. And I just don't think that Neil Magny at this point of his career finds a way to win. And let's be real. Neil Magny, yeah, he had a big finish of Malott, but Malott fumbled the bag in that fight. Before that, you remember 2 fights before, I thought he was losing to Phil Rowe. And now you're going to take out Michael Morales? I think there is a place where Neil Magny still fits in the UFC, but it's not beating one of the hottest prospects in the game right now. Michael Morales for the win, but Neil Magny is hard to put away. Chin of Neil Magny, very good. Hasn't been knocked out since 2018, where he was put out by Ponzi in the 4th round. So maybe you're not touching the, knockout prop. Morales by submission would be really impressive, and he does have grappling skill, but I do think decision is where my heart's going. Now, minus 325 for an over 1.5 is something that, even though it's 3-1, has gotten my attention because I do respect Magny's durability at the very least to make it into the later stages. The over 2.5 is minus 180. The official prediction has been Morales by a decision. That's plus 105. But if you think he's got the pop to put Magny away, it's plus 195. Either way, you can't make money on the money line. There's nothing to be made. This is not a money line fight. This is a fight that you have to put into a parlay. But you put that money line in a parlay, and I think things are looking up for you. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. And I do think that's going to end up coming to fruition. So I'm going with Michael Morales as a confident call this week. I see him getting it done. I see him getting a nice win. And listen, I think he's going to make all of Ecuador proud. They're going to be cheering on and screaming his name after this one. And they got a serious contender on the come up. So Morales, high confident pick. But that's not all. There's more. Yes, Zach Reese, minus 550. It's ugly. Another ugly one. But don't be sold by Medina just being tough to pick a Medina over a Zach Reese who actually has skills. Like, I hate to be an asshole here, but Medina's not very good. And I like Medina a lot. I love his story. I love these Rocky-type moments. But I live in the real world. And ultimately, you can be as tough as they come. But if you lack technical skill against a top prospect like Zach Reese, you're probably not going to have a good result. Now, Medina did go distance against Gadzhi Yasulov last time out. Maybe there's an argument that he can survive a Reese onslaught. And maybe we see Reese be a bit more steady paced and pick his shots and time his takedowns as opposed to bringing some quick pressure onto Medina and just running him out the room in the first. The over 1.5 is live as a degen little sprinkle. I mean, it's not that degenerate. It's plus 125, but it's plus money, which is good to see. And if you're thinking like I'm thinking, Medina might not be technically sound, but I know he's one of the tougher guys in the world. He's got a good chin, and he does have a Brazilian jiu-jitsu base, which is, the name of his game. That's what he's formulated his whole skill set on initially. Now, he's trained at Entram Gym. He's lost some body fat. He looks different. We'll see how he looks on the scales, but definitely a good move for him to drop down in weight. But let me tell you something. Medina, he lost dominantly to Gadzhi Asulov. Dana handed him out a contract. Dana was in a good mood that day. Dana was just throwing contracts out because performance-wise, he was clearly outgunned. He was tough, but not good enough. And I think that Zach Reese is going to run him out. So I think Reese wins. I think he might get a, later knockout or a decision. Reese is minus 550, big money line, and then plus 125 for the over if you're looking for some savagery. Now, what's interesting, if you do think Reese is going to be challenged enough to go distance, it's plus 600 for that. Now, if you like Reese by knockout, you only got plus 120. We've seen a lot of punching power out of Reese, and I do think he has a ton of promise. Crazy advantage in athleticism here. Crazy advantage in physicality, and he's simply just better. The way Zach Reese would fumble the bag in this fight is if he blows his wad in the first round, Medina's toughness holds up and he somehow survives, and then Reese gassed out gets stopped in a second or third round. That's how Medina wins. He's not going to beat him, at his absolute best, right? An early, fresh Reese or a consistent quality pace Reese is way better than Medina. It's not a close fight. This is one-sided as hell. So, yes, Reese is a confident pick. Next up, we got Edmen Shahbazyan, okay? He was once a prospect that had, I think, his eyes on a championship. I mean, the hype on him was crazy at one point. But since then, he has completely fallen off. Yeah, he has completely fallen off, to be honest, right? But take a look at the losses for a second. Let's be realistic. He lost to Derek Brunson, who's a fantastic wrestler and a savvy veteran. He lost to Jack Hermanson, who is still really good. Is that bad? Are those two losses that bad? I don't know. I just think we kind of, quickly booted him out. He lost to Nasruddin Imavov, who's one of the top contenders. He lost to Fluffy Hernandez, who's an incredible grappler and tough as they come. His losses on paper, when you look at them now in 2024, are fair losses for a young fighter. If Shahbazyan consistently improves, which I still believe he has, he's going to be enough to take out a Gerald Meerschaert. I get the excitement on Meerschaert. Oh, he beat Bruno Silva. Oh, he's got good grappling. Oh, his striking's not that bad. But Gerald Meerschaert is completely outgunned on the feet. He's got to get this fight to the floor. And Shahbazyan's at a really good gym, Extreme Couture. Is his wrestling game not consistently improving? Is he not going to be way better than Gerald Meerschaert in the striking? And if this fight is stuck on the feet, Gerald Meerschaert is going out. I'm going Edmen Shahbazyan by knockout. He's minus 280 as the favorite, and I think he finds the chin. I think he gets a KO. I think this fight's going under 2.5 for sure, which is minus 300. And I think Edmen Shahbazyan is getting a knockout, which is minus 170. Oh, shit. Minus 170 for a knockout. There's nothing exciting about that. That sucks, actually. Wow. I thought there would be something better, but it is what it is. No problem. No problem. Minus 170 for the KO. Shahbazyan should get a knockout. He'll put Meerschaert out. He'll hurt him on the feet. Meerschaert's going to be panic wrestling a bit. He doesn't have the best wrestling in the world. He'll probably pull guard at some point. I think the athleticism of Shahbazyan's too much. He'll create distance. He'll strike, and I think he'll do damage. So Edmen Shahbazyan for a knockout win over GM3 is going to be a money call in this one. And yeah, it's chalky, but it's a confident pick, man. It's chalky, but I still think it's a locky. And we got one more. And because this card is weird, I said, over 2.5 rounds? Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm putting over 2.5 rounds. Angela Hill, Tabitha Ricci as a most confident pick. I don't normally do most confident picks with anything other than straight fighter picks. But the reason I did it for this one is because we have an even line fight that we'll talk more about in the next section. But it's also because the fact I personally feel as though we're looking at a lock outcome. I'd be shocked to see a finish in this fight. And it's about most confident pick. We're at the damn apex. I'm calling it over 2.5 as a most confident pick. Yes, it's chalky at minus 500, but it's going to hit. And when you put it into a lock parlay, which I got at the end, you're going to see success. And it's about hitting the plus money, not always just chasing the Degen bets. So we're going with the over 2.5 in the Hill and Ricci fight. I think that's going to come to fruition. I think it's a good matchup, and I'm looking forward to it. And I guess this Hill-Ricci fight essentially leads us into our next section. We're going to jump right into it. It's the favorite underdog section. And Angela Hill and Tabitha Ricci, the line's been flipping up and down. It's currently even. -110 on both sides. I'm even seeing Angela Hill as a -105 underdog. So Angela Hill is now in this second section as a playable money line. I do think she has a legitimate chance to win. I think she's going to get a decision against Tabitha Ricci. I stand firm on this. Tabitha Ricci did not win against Pennington, against Tisha. She didn't win. I thought she should have lost that decision. Tabitha Ricci's striking gets sloppy. Her wrestling's not great. She's got good jiu-jitsu, but she's going to go take down and bully Angela Hill. I don't like the chances of such. So Angela Hill, to be fair, she's a confident pick as well. She's like an honorable mention on the confident picks. I'm doing this. It's an extension of what we literally just talked about with the over. I do think it's going over. And I do think Angela Hill is winning. And I do think she's getting it done by a decision. So if you're like, wait, I don't want to play -105. I want plus money. If you need it, it's +125. Angela Hill by decision. Angie Hill's going to take it home. Angela Hill is a good women's pick, man. I think she's got a great chance to go out and win. I feel like her stand-up game clearly better than Ricci's. High-tier experience, good takedown defense, good grappling overall. Coming off a submission win of Luana Pinheiro. To me, there's a ton to like for Angela Hill in this fight against Tabitha Ricci. I guess Ricci is decent, but I don't think she's elite. Angela Hill has been amongst the elite forever. Competitive fights with all of the top girls in the world at one time. And I think Angela Hill is about to take home a nice W. And I think she's, going to send Tabitha Ricci back a ways in the rankings. I'm going Angela Hill on the decision. But I'm going to say something. Tabitha Ricci, they could give her a robbery. They could give her a robbery. And that is why I didn't put Angela Hill in the most confident picks. Not because I don't think she wins the fight confidently. So I'm not 100% certain that she's going to get the decision, man. A lot of judges, bro, they be staring too much at Ricci's physique, a little too much at the glutes. They're distracted by what's happening with Angela Hill punching her in the face. So just a relative concern that had to be mentioned. Now, the next one, I don't like this one as much, but Josiane Nunes, I think she can win a close decision as an underdog. Split decision, maybe. Yes, she's not as good technically as Jacqueline Cavalcanti, but she doesn't need to be. What she needs to do is make it a dog fight. It's not about landing a takedown. It's about closing distance and pressure wrestling. She needs to adopt a little Andreas Gustafsson style, okay? You look at Pat Pitlick, slick striker from the outside, right? Andreas Gustafsson used his physicality, closed the gap on him on Contender Series, and made it a dirty fight as I smacked the mic. And that's what I want to see here for Nunes. Nunes needs to make this a dog fight, not a technical kickboxing match. She will lose a technical kickboxing match here 10 times out of 10. But she can win a dog fight 6 or 7 times out of 10. She can outdog Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I'm not sold that Cavalcanti is surging towards the top just yet. I think she's going to struggle when a fight gets dirty. And I think this is the fight that gets dirty. I think Josiane Nunes is a live underdog, and I think she's being slept on. So give me Nunes as a dog, +185, +184 range. The over 2.5 is probably going to hit at -260, and Nunes by a decision is +350. I think hard-fought fight, a dog fight, but Nunes, if she fights with an intelligent game plan, and the intelligent game plan is fuck fighting slick, fuck trying to tap and slip and strike from the outside. It's push the fucking pace, drive that car right into Cavalcanti's chest, and turn this into a phone booth fight. Turn it into a scrap. Turn it into a dirty boxing clinch fest, not a technical kickboxing fight. Cavalcanti thrives on a pace that she can control, but at the moment you make her uncomfortable, things can change. And I think Josiane Nunes does have the ability to do such a thing. We shall find out on fight day if she's got the IQ to pull it off, though. So Josiane Nunes to win as a dog is the second of the favorite underdogs calls. Now, the Degen prop section, it's just a quick one, okay? It's a one-hit wonder. I don't have too much to say about the Degen props. I feel like we went into so many confident picks and good props, but I got a feeling, ooh, that Valentin is going to get a knockout, and it's plus 500. I think Valentin can knock Loder out. Valentin is more dangerous. Loder is a round winner. Valentin's a fight finisher. So I'm going with Valentin plus 500 for a knockout as a confident call. I think he can pull through. I think he can get a W for us all. And listen, I'm looking forward to it, all right? I'm excited. Now, I do want to jump to the next section. Parlay time. All right, let's parlay some things up, bro. My parlay section is probably my favorite. And when we were crushing it 4 weeks in a row, last week was a little rocky, but it's okay. Because this game is about bouncing back. Same as the fighters push through the adversity, so do I. We're going to look at these parlays. I have concocted magic, okay? Borralho and Morales, minus 160. It's going to hit. Now, you're going to say, bro, minus 160 sucks, though. I'm just telling you it's going to hit. Not telling you got to play it. None of these. Go do your own research, man. But I'm telling you what I'm thinking. And I think Borralho and Morales is a lock. Now, Borralho, Morales, and the Hill and Ricci over seems like guaranteed money. Minus 110. It's a lock, too. Move down a little bit more. We got Borralho, Morales, Hill, Ricci, the over 2.5, and Shabazian at plus 160. I think this one's a heavy hitter as well. I think this one's going to happen too at plus 160. I think it's very live. But I know some people will be worried about Shabazian. Now, if you want more, you keep the same lineup. You add Reese. You get plus 205. My head's cutting it off a little bit. My apologies. It's not just plus 20, but it had to be cut off. You know what I'm saying? It had to be cut off. It's good luck on it cutting it off. I think that one hits as well for a little plus 205 money. Not a horrible idea, but some chalky calls in the mix, of course. Now, to do a little alternate action, the Hill, Ricci, and Nunes, Cavalcanti over 2.5 is calling my name. Minus 155. And from there, you can also add in one of the confident other picks, straight fighter picks too, and that could be A tier. Now, a little bit more heat, Borralho and Hill together for a nice alternate. You guys know I like Hill. Yeah, she's a close money underdog / favorite, depending where you're at. Even money fight. Plus 176. I like this as an alternate, and I think it's a good value play. Next up, if you added Morales to your lineup, you do break into the plus 200 territory at plus 210. I think this is very live, and I see it coming to fruition. Now, if you need more, you need a lot more. You go Borralho, Hill and Ricci over 2.5, and Valentin. This is an alternate live play at plus 165, which I see coming through. And now if you're looking to chase some plus money, you're like, listen, bro, I'm not here to just bet confidence. I'm here to degen it up. All right, I hear you. And that's why I made a degen section for all of you degenerate savages. Borralho, Hill, Morales, Reese, Medina over 1.5 at plus 615. Yes, you're playing it over 1.5 in a complete mismatch, but Medina's got a good chin and a jiu-jitsu base, and it could be happening. Now, adding a little more heat to it is going to be savage mode. If you have Shabazian on that same lineup as well, you get plus 860. And now if you're like, listen, man, I'm a degenerate. I just want plus money. Likelihood of success, let it drop because I'm going to hit it. If I'm not throwing the money here, I'll be throwing it at the roulette table. Okay. Plus 1,400. Borralho, Hill, Morales, Reese, Medina, over 1.5, Shabazian, and Valentin. Plus 1,400. That's the big savage mode. Those are the calls for this week. I like where they're at. I think they're looking pretty good. I got a great feeling about them, to be honest with you. Now, I am going to do updated predictions with the late night live tomorrow as I head back home. And then, of course, Friday, the weigh-in show. Plenty of content coming. Make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And also know this is not my normal studio. I'm on the road right now. But I'll be back in studio Thursday, which is tomorrow, for a nice late night live with the people. Let me know what you thought of the picks in the comments, and if you got nothing to say, you just enjoy the content, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.